Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Awesome, awesome. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and take care of some housekeeping items. If you have your phones on you, can you please put them on vibrate? Because we don't want to. Am I echoing? Okay, because we want to be respectful of our speakers this morning. Also, if you need to use the restroom, it's straight ahead and to the left. Um, First thing I want to do is introduce our staff. We have Ms. Pamela Green. She is our assistant manager, and I am Erica Wade. I am the manager for the Office of Small Business Opportunities. So, do we have any SLB, certified SLBEs present? Awesome, awesome. So in our office, at the Office of Small Business Opportunity, we have a certification program called the SLBE, Small Local Business Enterprise. And what that is, once you get certified in our office, it gives you access to opportunities here at Richland County. So we certify in the areas of architecture, construction, engineering, professional, non-professionals, and also goods and services. So at the end, we could talk about it a little bit more because I don't want to take away from our speakers because they got some good information to give to you. So about our mission is to advocate for you guys, our small local businesses in Richland County, just to make sure, one, that you become qualified by attending trainings and workshops like this. We try to have them at least once a month. So we have you in our database, so watch your emails. We'll send you emails, register, come on in, good wealth of knowledge. Have anybody else ever attended any of our other trainings? Anybody else? Awesome. So we got a whole new group, Pam. Awesome. Yes, we got a whole new group of folks. So like I said, you're in our database, and we'll go ahead and send you information, sign up, and I strongly encourage you to attend our workshops and trainings that we have. And like I say, in our office, we advocate for you guys. We offer one-on-one business training. We have wealth of knowledge, resources. We have some of our partners in the room. We have Ms. Angela Brewer from Small Business Administration. Everybody knows them as SBA. And we have Mr. Johnny Birch from SMBCC. And am I missing anybody else? Oh, and we have Ms. Diane Lucy from the Richland County Library. There you go. I knew it was somebody else that was in here. So before we get started, we're going to have Mr. John Bennett. Mr. John Bennett, he is from Dominion Energy Small Business Energy Solutions. He will talk a little bit about how you can save, he's going to talk about energy benefits for our small businesses. After Mr. Bennett is done, we will have our speaker, Mr. John Gathers. He's sitting here looking at me, and he is backed by popular demand, y'all. Every time we have Mr. Gathers, everybody wants to know, when is the next event? When is the next event? So he's backed by popular demand. I just want to say thank you, guys. So I'm going to ask Mr. Bennett to come on, and he will speak to you again, like I said, about energy benefits for small businesses.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Houston Bennett, not John, but that's okay. It's all good. I'm an account manager with Dominion Energy. We have these incentive programs tailored to small business owners and nonprofits, where Dominion will actually cover 90% of the project cost, up to $6,000, for energy efficient upgrades. With those energy efficient upgrades, it includes lighting, refrigeration, and soon to be HVAC. With our lighting program, we come in, swap out old incandescent fluorescent lights with new LED equipment. With our refrigeration, we mainly focus on walk-in coolers and reach-in coolers, freezers as well. With those, we can put motors, new controls, pretty much just tune it up, make it run a little bit better, get you a little bit lower energy bill. And then with the HVAC program that is in the works right now, we'll be able to do HVAC tune-ups. We'll be able to reseal ducts, install smart thermostats. Pretty much how the program works is you contact me to see if you're eligible. What Dominion considers a small business would be 350,000 kilowatt hours or less a year, five or less business accounts with Dominion Energy. And then the last one is you at least have to be open for a year, and that's just to kind of gauge how much energy your facility actually uses in 1 year. After that, the process is we send our contractors out. They perform an on-site energy analysis that is totally free. After that, they will present you with a customer report detailing all the things that they could or couldn't swap out for you. After that, if you want to go through with the installation, you would just sign the customer agreement. Then the contractor would then install the equipment, and then after it's all installed, he would send you a bill for 5%, 10% of the project cost, and then he will bill Dominion the rest of the 90%. It's a great program. Most people don't know about it. That's why I'm here today, to kind of get you guys intrigued and interested in the program. You have a question? We can talk questions. I don't know if I have much time to answer questions. I'll be up front later. I have business cards and brochures, should have been passed out. So if you guys have any questions about the program or want to sign up, I'll be up front. Thank you, guys.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me from here? Okay. Make sure I can be heard in the back. Is that a little bit better? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I am extremely thankful to be here today because, you know, how it goes. If not for the grace, I wouldn't have woke up this morning. So the fact that I am here means I got a job to do. And I am very intentional about this job because it's my favorite subject in business, period. Scaling a business is one of the hardest things you ever do in your entire life. Oh, ain't nobody feeling me on that one. Okay. So I can only tell you that I've had a client who got a divorce and had 4 kids she paid for on a $32,000 a year salary. And she said scaling her business was equal to that stretch. And I'm not a woman. You will not ever hear me put myself in that situation. But I can tell you right now, that was a heck of a comparison. Good, better, different, and going from entrepreneur to professional manager. So I'm a small town country boy. I'm from Rondo, South Carolina. Went to high school in Walterboro, graduated from Claflin. South Carolina is my home. I've been able to live in a lot of different states over the years because when it came to getting my business to that growth phase, South Carolina really couldn't support me. So I've always been extremely critical of this state compared to other states with how they treat and support their small businesses. So Richland County putting on an event like this is a step in the right direction, and I commend you guys for being willing to support your small businesses because, again, when Boeing comes here, great press, great jobs, great numbers. How many of you guys got a contract with Boeing? Okay, all right, we got a problem. That's a little bit of a problem for me. Let's go number 2. Boeing has a 30-year tax break. How many of you guys realize that you're paying the taxes for Boeing? No taxation without representation is what I say. But so again, make sure that you're advocating and supporting events like this because the more events that we have like this, the more educated business populace we have, the more we can push forward and make sure that this state recognizes that diesel laptops and Nephron Pharmaceuticals can do just as much as an economic impact as a homegrown business in this state by a South Carolinian as a foreign entity coming in here that's already a Fortune 100. So this is me getting off the soapbox right now. All right, so I'm off my soapbox, and this almost killed me. So I'm not going to paint any illusions about this. Anybody who's heard me speak before know that you will never catch diabetes listening to me speak because I don't sugarcoat anything. This is real. Now, the human condition is the number one reason 90% of businesses fail. The SBA updated to 50%, but I do this for a living. I touch 150 businesses a month. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And the reason is because we all have inherent biases. We all have problems learning because we like our comfort zones and we don't necessarily want to step outside of them. We all have some type of trigger that sets us off, whether it be me not getting my money on time, employee not performing on time. But in order to make this transition, you got to be cool as a cucumber. Anybody know the number one business skill that you must have to be successful in business? Very close. Patience, very close. Very close, but I hadn't heard it just yet. It's an encompassing term. Close. Emotional intelligence. So, thank you. So, emotional intelligence, meaning you need to be able to have a very, very challenging situation hit you first thing in the morning when you wake up, and you respond by going, what's the best way for me to solve this? Who do I need to bring in? Who do I need to talk to? Now, if you're anything like me, I'm like, I just woke up. These boys can't wait to get out of bed. Like, so, but as you get older and as you become more seasoned in business, you learn that every day is just looking at the biggest, most immediate problem, solving it until you get to a point where you become a professional manager. The difference between chief everything officer and chief executive officer is that you don't have to know a thing about business to start a business. You don't. You have to know a lot about business to stay in business. So the whole time you're a good man, Steve Jobs was selling you iPhones, Tim Cook was running the company. When he died, Tim Cook took over, and I had to look up Tim Cook's resume. Tim Cook ran that company for years because Steve Jobs didn't like running companies. That's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to be an inventor, and he wanted to be a founder. The transition from you founding your company to managing your company is one that's going to take you through a lot of ups and downs emotionally. It's going to require you to have a great learning capacity because you're going to have to learn the skills you don't know, and it's going to require you to invest in people. Very difficult to do right out of the gate, so I just wanted to set the stage. Who am I? Why am I qualified to get up here and talk to you about this stuff? Because you don't know me from Adam's House Cat, right? So my wife said, you want to start with that? I was like, yeah, I want to start with that. I had 20 failed businesses, so I became an entrepreneur before I even went to college. And my first business, we stopped foreclosures in Charlotte, me and my older brother. We did $500,000 our first year. I got sued by the end of that year. And I would have won, but I didn't know how to manage a business, so I got sued for something called piercing the corporate veil. They had a really good lawyer. Most lawyers wouldn't have looked that deep. So they actually went through my business, and they saw that, I was paying for groceries out of my bank account. I was using my bank account to pay rent, car note, taking a little date here and there, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, the corporate protections that applied to a business, because I was out of compliance with them, didn't save me. So they went in our bank account, thank you very much, boop, took the money, boop, and we were left broke. 50 homes we couldn't pay for, so we had to give them back. Terrible, terrible experience. But the best learning experience I had in business. It set the stage for me to get better, and then we did water for gas. We sold alkaline water before anybody knew what it was. We had that international. We went to Haiti and helped dig wells. Me and my brother have done just about everything you can think of, but we never knew how to keep it running. We made the money, but we couldn't keep the money. And that is when I learned, okay, there's something here that I don't understand. The problem with small businesses is that typically no one tells you how to sustain them. They'll tell you how to start them. They'll tell you how to fund them. They won't tell you how to run them. That's the competitive advantage. We're going to definitely get into that a little bit later. So I spent 18 years crashing and burning, 8 years as a private lender, and then all of a sudden I learned a few things. This business was the best business I ever had in my life. I had a construction company before then, two actually. One crashed and burned. I was $2 million in debt, attempted suicide. For those who don't know, I always make sure I mention that in meetings because I don't know what you're going through. And a few years ago, I had a friend complete the mission when he lost his business. And I felt like if I had told the truth about my experiences and been honest, then he'd probably still be here. So that's something I carry with me every day, and I make sure I put that out there because I'm no longer ashamed of it because I raised $60 million, a little small country boy from a dirt road, sold 3 businesses successfully, consulted in the lower 48 in 3 countries, and I love growth stage companies. So after the failure, there was immediate and extreme success because I was hungry, I was desperate, I was in trouble, and after the first 18 months, that $2 million was a $140,000 sale to the positive. I actually got from underneath the business. I sold it to my general contractor, so, I could teach you how to dig out of a hole. I can tell you that. So why are you here? Mostly because the small business fiction that has been sold on Instagram, maybe told to you about other people in your industry, the lies that family members have told you about how great their business is doing. But let's look at the numbers. Let's tell the truth. Oh, we got laughter in the back. Hey, look, it's going to be one of these before we get out of here. Let's look at that first one, SBA stat. Only 2% of businesses earn more than $1 million a year. 32 million businesses in America, roughly 640,000. And guess what? Just because you have $1 million in sales does not mean you have $1 million in cash. God, I wish it worked like that, but it don't. It really don't. So guess what? Out of those guys who broke that million, that 640,000, I guarantee half of them ain't even profitable. Ain't even making no money. Struggling. Because again, you're making a transition from a founder to a professional manager. It's a different skill set. 50% of the small businesses survive beyond 5 years. About a third of those make it to the 10-year mark. Woo! We're doing a bad job of educating our small business owners. We're doing a terrible job, I'm going to be honest with you. And it's only because most people have never actually done the job. And when they do, they end up going to private equity firms, management consulting firms, big, huge business development corporates. And I have been propositioned about all of them. Trust me, I have. Deloitte just reached out to me about a job right here in Columbia. And I told them no, because this is the work that I'm passionate about. Helping some rich company run better and get better, yeah, I could do it. But helping you guys actually grow your firms, be more successful, and then get up here and say, I met John, and he changed everything about it. That's what makes me excited. There were 2 people at that Engaged Richland event that have stayed with me since that event. One of them is going to be a $5 million business in 4 years, very easily. The other one, we saved her business. Just because they kept coming back and they kept asking questions, and I said, you know what, if you're that hungry, we're going to get into it. And we dissected their businesses. National average. Look at this right here. Look at that. Businesses aren't growing in America. 1.5%? You can't, listen to me, this makes me mad when I see it. So that means we're starting businesses and we spend 5 to 10 years stuck in startup. You grow to the level you know how to manage, can't grow any further. Poor financial management, understanding of finances, high-risk industry, or not comfortable taking on debt makes it difficult to obtain financing. Somewhere in that span is a small business owner going crazy. His customers want him to do more. He can't figure out how to meet the demand because he can't raise the money. Lack of necessary infrastructure, such as systems, IT, supply chains, talent, but you're still struggling to scale. We call this growing to death. You want to grow just because people are giving you more money. I got a client that I used to lend money to. I lent him about $2 million in a year once. And the truth of the matter is, this brother said to me, John, I made more money as a $15 million company than I did as a $25 million company. How is that even possible? And because of my investor constraints, I wasn't allowed to consult with anybody that I gave money to. But I did it anyway, and I told him why. He didn't believe me, and a few years later, he ended up losing parts of the company because he just didn't have the right team in place. He was loyal to the wrong people. We're going to talk about that very, very deeply before we get out of here today. So when you think about the good business, you've heard the stats, you've listened to me rant. How many people in here still think they got a good business? Why do you think you have a good business? What makes it good? Yes, ma'am. It's very subjective.
I'm sorry, I didn't know who else raised.
No, I'm going to have everybody answer it because it's a subjective kind of question at first.
I think because I'm initially going through the huge growing pains that you've already talked about. I'm 3 years in.
Okay.
And I was smart enough to get a mentor.
Okay.
I was smart enough to reach out. Once I realized I ain't got everything that it takes, I reached out to other entities, other individuals, and I became a mentee.
I'm very happy to hear that. That is outstanding testimony. Ma'am, I know you raised your hand in the red.
I'm supplying the need and at the same time introducing education in a hospitality field.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Somebody else in the back behind you raised their hand. They put it down real quick. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Got it. Hey, look, all those are outstanding answers, right? So when I look at the answers that I've heard, and I looked at the small businesses that I've consulted with, and I've actually made it to the middle market. So the reason I said the best business was my best business is because we made $20 million in annual revenues with 4 people. So my margins were insane. We made good money. My partner died during COVID, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in here too. The good business is typically owner-driven. Mr. Jones in the back just mentioned. The flip side of that is it's owner-dependent. So when my partner died, we were the only 2 that really had the skill set to make that money. Everybody else was just a cog in the wheel. It wasn't really very cross-functional. They definitely couldn't replace my partner, Abe. Abe Patterson was an absolute monster. So when you look at revenue generating, sales does not mean cash. Sales does not mean consistent. Sales doesn't mean I figured out how to keep bank account full of money. So just understand, just because you have a good business doesn't mean you have consistent cash flow. Bold decision making. The buck stops with you, baby. You know what I mean? You're an egomaniac. This is the best type of business for you. You know what I mean? I can walk in, oh, y'all gonna listen to me today. But also, the failures of that decision are on your shoulders. Too many gut feelings usually lead to those decisions. Again, you're limited to your knowledge base. I can only make as much money as I'm trained to make. Please, God, don't believe that you're just this one big leap of faith is going to lead you to $1 million. It is very, very difficult to break the million. You've seen the numbers. And even when they break it, they're not profitable. So you have to be trained on how to go get this money and keep it flowing in your business. Typically, you have a broad customer base. This is going to hurt somebody's feelings when I say the next thing. You have a broad customer base, meaning you're taking customers from everybody. You have low customer loyalty. Here's why. If you're not best in class, your customers are the people who can't afford best in class. Oh. That thing hurt me, boy. That thing hurt me. If you're not best in class, the customers you have right now are the people who can't afford best in class. You're not getting max value for what you do. Flexible and adaptable, very nimble. So when you do have good customers, you guys can respond to them. The flip side is you have no systems. So if most good businesses, if the owner steps away for a day, that business doesn't make money. If you hire somebody new, they don't even know what the heck they're doing. There's no system in place to guide people to help you be more successful. And then we look at the great business. Great businesses are typically team-driven. I've got people around me that are smarter than me in the areas I'm deficient, and they help me make better business decisions. My ego has to be checked because you know more than me. That's why I hired you. If I'm hiring my friends, if I'm hiring my peers, and they make just as much money than me, then less, just understand, you're limited to the knowledge base of the people on your management team. That business is typically on autopilot. There were times where Abe would go to Spain for 6 months, and I would just travel the country. Our business didn't need us to run it. We had systems in place. We were battle tested. I had been sued for being a private lender at least 30 times. People would sue me because they didn't want to pay me back my money. So I understand both sides of it. I definitely understand the small business side, but just know as a lender, my job is to always know in the back of my mind, it's easy to get the money out, hard to get the money back. Those businesses always have cash flows. So here's one of the things I want to talk to you about cash flow. If you are running your business right now without paying yourself, stop. Oh, we're going to talk about that. It's a whole exercise we're going to go through together to talk about that. Data-driven decision-making. How many of you guys ever messed with an industry report? Ever really dissected your industry? Okay, you have. One person in the room. Data-driven decision-making makes you more profitable. Selective customer base. The most powerful position you have as a small business owner when it comes to customers is being to say no. No. This is my number. If you can't meet it, I'll be glad to work with you on the next one. But if you can't say no, you're in a leveraged position. And in a leveraged position, your customers control your business, not you. Consistent sales. Most businesses, especially service-based, are cyclical. There's some type of economic factor, weather factor. There is some type of up and down system in your business that's going to impact your cash flow immediately. Consistent sales means that I figured out how to create a baseline of income that allows me to always pay my bills, and everything else is profit. Does that make sense? Market-driven. So when you think about being a market-driven business, you have enough industry data to know what the market's doing so you can jump out ahead of it real quick. Or if I know a recession is coming, what do I need? What do I need? I might need some foreclosure attorneys on the team because people I'm going to consult with are probably going to go through that. I'm probably going to need some wealth management consultants because somebody's going to look in their portfolio and see it's a negative 24%. They lost money due to the recession. They're going to want to jump out of that situation. If I know the market that I'm in, I know where it's going, so I'm driving it. Those businesses must have strong systems. If you hire somebody to, never mind, let me give you a better example. How many of you guys have walked into an organization, been sat at a desk, not told what your goals are, not told what the organization really wants you to do, not really managed very well, not really mentored very well, and totally confused about what you're doing for the first 6 months to a year while you're there? Nobody in the room. Okay. Oh, okay, one person. All right. Rest of y'all liars. Okay, I got it. So I know who I'm talking to now. But everybody's had some experience where they didn't have the proper leadership guiding them. So before you get mad at your employees, what organization did you bring them into? A good one, a better one? One with strong systems, one with clear expectations? Or one where you just went, I'm the CEO, I work hard, I expect you to work hard. I'm going to work from 10 to 12. I expect you to work from 10 to 10. Your employees are your employees. They're not your business partners. Never expect them to match your intensity or your work level or even be worth the money you're paying them if you don't have a system to plug them into. The different business. Make sure I'm not going too far over time. Okay, the different business. Best in class. So when you think about some of the things you're doing, some of you guys are actually doing best in class work in your business. I applaud you for that. Problem is you probably just don't know what it is just yet. Trying to figure out how to bring it all together. Investor or board driven. So I got to a point where we took on so much capital through syndicated banks that I had investors. This is a little bit different for me. Investors don't necessarily care about what your business is. They care about the return they get on the money that they lent you. Now, I definitely learned the difference between investors who understand your market and care than investors who just give you money. I had some really good investors who controlled my really bad investors. But at the end of the day, my really bad investors are the reason I got out of the business, the reason I sold my shares. Professionally managed. Oh, boy. This term right here, we're going to spend a little bit of time on this one because I want you to drill this into your skulls before you leave here. Professionally managed is what you want your business to be. When you start the business, when you dream about being able to walk into it, cash out, not have to work as hard as you did at your job, generational wealth, being able to give this thing to your kids one day, if that's your thought process, it has to be a professionally managed organization. That means you have a level of managers who help you make business decisions, and everybody else in the organization is going to the beat of the same drum. When they're not, everybody else comes, we meet about it, we talk about what's going on, we steer the ship the right way. We're not reactive, we're proactive. We solve problems before they happen. And if you can't do that in your organization right now, then just know that's a goal you should be setting for yourself. Again, preemptive, large market share. Typically, if you're best in class, you own a portion of the market. These customers are yours, and everybody just kind of like, well, Every now and again, every time that bid is up, we're going to step our foot in the door, but we don't expect to get them. We know that these customers are going to be loyal to this company. Industry-leading decision-making. So industry data actually comes out of your business now because you make decisions that lead the pack. You're the top of the tree, the upper echelon. It's you that people want to emulate now. Those businesses typically are well-defined. Now, when you think about Amazon, what does Amazon do? That's pretty good. That's actually pretty true. Somebody said sell and ship. It's not really what Amazon does. That's a heck of a one. That's what Amazon is known for, convenience. Not what Amazon does. What does Amazon do? Interesting. Okay. So what Amazon actually does is they control the internet. Amazon has something called AWS. Please look that up. AWS owns more servers, internet-based servers, than any other company in the world. It's a chance that if you are at a football game and you're sitting down, that entire game is being run on AWS. When they look at how many times there's a passing play being run on those tablets on the sideline, AWS is powering that. When you open your web browser and you click on Google and you go to a certain web page, AWS is hosting that web page. So projected 80% of Amazon's revenue doesn't come from online retail. It comes from the fact that they own the internet. So when you're thinking about being a market-dominant force, what you want to think about is, what can I own? This is my space. When you think about that, of course, that's a selective customer base. We already talked about that. So just understand what your customers, first and foremost, is not necessarily what you give them, is what you negotiate your prices for. Okay, I'm going to slow that back down. I'm going to bring that back. Always give your customers quality service. Make sure they understand that my business model is not cheap, it's best in class. If you want cheap, Walmart, Target, Burlington, Maxway, there are stores, Ross, there are stores where you can go get cheap. I'm Neiman Marcus, I'm Louis Vuitton. If your business model is to be cheap, just understand I'm going to outsupply everybody else who's in the marketplace. You can be just as cheap as me, but guess what? I'll drop 20,000 units in the market before you drop 5. Understand what the drivers are that allow you to get a selective customer base, because you have to add value, but you need to negotiate so everybody in your customer base knows if I come to John, $75 a half an hour, $150 an hour. That's if I like you. So if you look at extremely valuable, when you look at a business that you want to sell, that business has dominated a space, and they've dominated in a way where I can't even compete with them. There was a company called JetBlue. Anybody remember JetBlue? JetBlue bought out a bunch of little small competitors. Now JetBlue is on the Southwest line. I love flying JetBlue now. Their planes are just like Southwest. Their bag fees aren't high. They've become a marquee. I'm like, wow, how'd they do this? I'm a nerd. I read corporate statements for, just for fun sometimes, which is a weird habit. But they ended up buying 40 small airlines. And then they partnered with another 80. So if you don't want to make this run and there's a JetBlue plane in that terminal, we'll make that run for you. Understand, that is extremely valuable, isn't it? Legacy relationships. Once I establish my relationships with my customers, I'm going to service them in a way that they're going to go home and go, you know what? They're integrated into our business. I don't even like them, but if I wanted to fire them, it'll hurt my company to fire them. That's a legacy relationship. You don't necessarily have to be drinking buddies. You don't have to be hunting buddies. But guess what? If I'm ingrained into your business because the service I offer you is so valuable, I'm on your procurement schedule. I'm just a line item. You look at me, you go, what is this $100,000 coming out? Oh, that's the payment for John and them. Oh, okay then. Yeah, we got it. I know who that is. I know why I'm paying for that. Transferable. So the reason I want you to understand best-in-class businesses are transferable, because that could be a board seat, because you can give up your job as the CEO, CFO, whatever you currently are, sit on the board and just have people manage the business for you while you watch the profits trickle in. That's what your boy, Jeff Bezos just did. He's like, you know what, I'm tired of being CEO. I don't want to manage this thing no more. I'm just going to let my money drip in. I'm going to fly to space on the weekends. Must be nice. That's transferable. If he wanted to leave his board seat to his ex-wife, his current muse, if he wanted to leave it to his kids, he can do that. Here's the thing I want you to think about when you're trying to figure out if you're going to leave your business to your kids. Do you do what your parents did? Only 13% of business owners transferred to the kids successfully. Don't think your kids are going to pick up the mantle. So put your business in a position to be transferable, somebody can buy it. Take the money, put it in a trust, and give your kids a trickle. When you die, they get access to the trust, not the money. Never ever leave your kids money. Typically, the reason why you're uncomfortable, and this young lady alluded to it earlier, is because the journey from good, better, and best is usually stopping behind one of these. We call them growth walls. As you see that little old plant, ain't got a chance right now. But I guarantee you that little old plant, with the right proper maintenance, can do some enormously tremendous things to get around those growth walls. But somebody has to prep it. The first growth wall is money. It's the most immediate one. It's the one that you feel immediately. The second growth wall is talent. So now that I have the money problem fixed, I can't find people to work for me. I can't find anybody worth half their salt. My uncle used to say, boy, you ain't worth 2 dead flies smashed. So, you know, it's hard to find talent. Best-in-class businesses don't typically have a hard time attracting talent. So I'm giving you incentive to go from good to better, this whole presentation. The third growth wall is knowledge-based. I'm going to make as much money as I know how to make, then after that I'm capped. I don't know how to make any more money. So you got to hire people around you and make sure you partner, find mentors, and work with people who are going to give you a chance to break through that knowledge barrier. Last growth wall is you. It's the human condition. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to know my numbers. I'm scared. I don't understand finances. I don't like talking to people. It's those idiosyncrasies that stop you from being successful every day that you must conquer in order for your business to break through growth walls. It's your business. If you don't steer it, you don't guide it, it's only as good as you are. So at least this person has a road. There's been times I was off in the woods somewhere. I didn't have no road, and there was no light whatsoever. I was in complete darkness. So when you think about taking a trip somewhere, going from good, better to best, let's transfer that into taking a vacation. What's the first thing you need to do to take a vacation? That's the problem. That's why most people never get where they're going. You want to know the answer? Your GPS asks for it all the time. What's my current location? How you going to get to somewhere and plan a trip you don't know you're flying out of? The first thing you need to start with is where I am right now. It's the first thing you need to know to plan a trip. If I don't know where I am right now, I will never get there. Most business owners are too afraid to look. And this is where the conversation is going to take a little turn. You bear with me. Don't feel bad about this, but this is where it's going to get a little ugly. Finding true north. Early 1800s, travelers were trying to come across the land, and they had compasses. They didn't have GPS back then. And when it comes to small business ownership, you better not use a GPS because there's no exact way to make two businesses run the same way. You still have a compass. The problem with compasses back in the day is that if I was near anything magnetic, whether it was in the ground or if I was any near magnetic poles, my true north would be missing. So I can go months and months completely off course thinking I'm going to Wisconsin when I'm in Canada. What people realize how to do to find their true north, they actually learned it from natives of different countries, is if I know the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, if I have any skepticism on my compass, I turn my body to the east. This is north, this is west, this is south. If the sun's dead above my head at noon, that would represent west. If it's setting in the west, that represent north. If it's setting in the west, of course you know that's west. And if the sun was on my back, then that sun was facing southward. So they use different guidelines to help them find their true north. So even if the compass is wrong, they still had a way to correct course. This is what you need as business owners. And these are going to be very selfish questions. If you don't have a notebook, you probably want to write these questions down or take a picture, because you really want to go through these questions as a business owner, because this is the only way you're going to be able to get from good, better to best. What should this business be doing for me? Be selfish. You're running a for-profit, not a non-profit. All those great altruistic goals that you have are secondary to you running a real business. Because if you can't run a real business, you and all the people that you temporarily employed are going homeless. You're going out of business. All those lofty goals you had to help the community will be shattered because you couldn't sustain them. It's the business first. And since you're taking the risk, you're signing those loan documents, you're employing those people, you're liable to the IRS, guess what? What should this business be doing for me first? This is a very selfish question, and every business owner better answer it, because everybody likes to stand up, hey, I did this because I wanted to support the community and do great things. My dad had another saying that said, boy, you sound smart to somebody stupid. So guess what? You better understand what your business is supposed to do for you. I'm being very intentional about this because this is the one you guys like to skip. You never know what you really want the business to do. I want to make $1 million. Anyway. What's my current goal this year? What am I supposed to be doing? This year. Current goals are going to change from month to month, week to week, day to day. But if you set a goal for the year, again, you're supposed to be using your true north to help you get to that goal. How do I know my goal is even realistic? That's a good one. What's changing in my life? So in my 20s, it was very easy to crash and burn a business. I was financially liable for it. It was me. As I started to grow, have different family members be born, as I got married, those decisions changed. The amount of time I'm willing to invest in the business changed, because I now have competing priorities. If you can't figure out how to balance the competing priorities, 9 times out of 10, you start suffering. Your business is only as good as you are, because right now, human beings run businesses, not machines. Pretty soon, machines are going to be running them. I mean, that's just where we're going. But the reality is, every time you look at a business, there's a human being behind that business that is conflicted somewhere. Because I should be spending time with my family and my friends, but since I didn't design my business around my life, I designed my life around my business, I can't enjoy my life. That's going to lead to failure. Do I still want to move forward? How many of you are stuck in a bad business and your pride won't let you get out of it? You ain't got to answer that. You ain't answer that. You ain't answer that. I was stuck in a bad business for too long, led me to a suicide attempt. When you're in $2 million in debt, they pulling you out your house and taking the cars out your yard in front of all your neighbors. It's an embarrassing feeling. That right there drives a man insane. And I used to always be the one, oh, he's weak. He took the coward's way out. If you've never been that broken, shut your mouth. This is a gold mine, a real one. So what I realized is business owners are really, really good about finding a gold mine, really, really bad about mining the gold. So I'm going to click on, nah, it's not a little curse. I'm going to click on this right quick. I want to show you guys a real industry report. Excuse me, let me get back here. Sure. So this is a real industry report. I use management consulting services because it gives a really, really good overview of this industry because it's such an old industry. So this right here is a real industry report. Here are the table of contents, and we're going to start with industry structure. We're going to walk through it a little bit, but this is very in-depth. I work during my day for the SBDC. We will do this for you. So if you reach out to me, call me, and tell me what your industry is, I'll supply you with this report. You have to sign up as a client because this is no cost to you. So let's look at this one. Let's say you didn't know where you fit in your industry right now. Well, let's look at the structure of your industry. Because for some strange reason, small business owners create a business, they think they're the only one in the world doing it. 32 million businesses in America. You're not the only one doing your business. You're not the only one who has done it. So borrow and copy and steal every insight that you can from people who've already done it. Please, God, be a thief when it comes to small business. Uber, Lyft, Lowe's, Home Depot. Never mind. You got the picture. You'll get it. All right. So when you think about new entrants into your business, low barriers to entry. So if you have a certain skill set, it looks like you can be a management consultant. Firms have ongoing relationships. Again, if you come from a corporate environment, you have really good relationships in that corporate environment, it's probably a lot easier for you to bring business to your new firm. So those ongoing relationships support this industry, especially if you're coming in new. You don't want to come in without any clients. That's what that's telling me. If I look at the suppliers of that industry experts, they're going to give me the data. We call them SMEs, subject matter experts. When you look at business schools, ooh boy. Listen to me. My best friend worked for the biggest consulting firm in the country. My other closest friend, he worked for the second business. They got them right when they graduated out of school with their MBAs. They got target schools. Right now, HBCUs are becoming target schools for management consulting firms and accounting firms. I'm pushing a lot of young brothers and sisters into this direction. Market research firms, that's what this is. This whole data came from Vertical IQ. Vertical IQ is a market research firm. When you look at information technology, of course, that drives everything. If you don't have proper information, you don't have it integrated into your systems, you don't know what's going on with your business. So these guys feed this industry. And of course, who are the buyers? Look at the first buyer of management consulting services. You know what that tells me? There's no business in the world that grows without some type of consulting, some type of help, some type of assistance, some type of mentorship. That's their number one customer, is businesses. Number two, institutions. Financial is typically institutions. Insurance is typically what's considered institution. Legacy, 300-year-old businesses is what you call institutions. Nonprofit organizations, of course, the biggest and the best, McKinsey, all the research firms, Pew, those guys definitely need consultants. And government entities should be the first one. Government should definitely be hiring more private sector people to help it run better. But again, I'm sorry. So if you look at some of the substitutes, consultants outside of the country, and accounting firms. I'm on time. Okay, we're going to speed this up a little bit. So this is how firms operate. If you're looking to grow your company and you don't have something like this, you're doing it wrong. This is a breakdown of how this industry actually is constructed by customer segment. Here's the craziest thing about that green and that blue. It's almost genius. Strategic management and business process management go hand in hand. Because if I give you a strategic roadmap and it starts working for you, oh no, this one, the link just kind of, it's all good. So when you think about this one here, if you look at the two of them, if I give you a strategic roadmap and it works for your business, I got to come right back and install the process that helps it run more efficiently. So that's why those two are the biggest. Very easy to see in that business. So if I were in that financial segment is where I started out as an investment bank out of college, which was a terrible career decision for me. I am not very good with corporate guys. But guess what? I learned that I am really, really good with strategic stuff based on my corporate background. So I can make your numbers make more sense to you than most people can, and probably your accountant can, because I've crashed and burned enough businesses to know how you're thinking about it. Versus an accountant, which is just a trained professional. He can only give it to you the way that he knows. So if I were going from, let's say, this little guy right here, let's say 9% of the industry, and I wanted to grow my business, where would you guys suggest that I grow my business? Okay. Got one right answer. Anybody else got any suggestions where I grow my business? Oh, say if you were consulting me, and I was in that 9%, I was a financial manager, and you were going to tell me, hey, John, if you're looking at growing your business, here are the two areas that will probably give you the best growth. There you go. You see, I've created experts. Just that short window of time. 1 hour with me, you're already consultants. There you go. Bam. So if you look at this, it's revenue by employee. So it lets you know what you should be making by how many people you've hired. Your employees are an investment. Fire fast, hire slow. Because you're making an investment. They're not worth the money you pay them inside of the first year, unless you have really good systems, really good training, and a robust targeting system so they know what their goals are. They know what they need to do to keep the job. People don't get fired, they fire themselves. So if you don't set clear directives, don't be mad that your employees are robbing you. I'm gonna go to this last one and then we're gonna move on with the presentation because I really want you guys to see this. If I'm looking at the trends, we're not gonna go through this, we're just gonna read the headings. Again, if I'm trying to grow my business and I'm a management consultant, revenue growth surges. Oh, people are paying for my services. That's a good sign. Strong demand for consultants. Oh, that's a good sign. All right. I know growth is possible. I know it's realistic. Oh, there's an evolution in the healthcare. So I need to be looking at professionals who understand healthcare. That's a burgeoning industry. Okay, cool. Global infrastructure opportunities. I may want to hire somebody who's built a bridge in Haiti. I'm looking at advances in information technology. I may need tech. Now, I made the point. Y'all got it. Y'all smart. I beat you up long enough with this. But if you're making business decisions without that industry data, I want to get in your shot. Okay, excuse me. If you're making business decisions without industry data, set yourself up for a hard fall. Very, very hard fall. The second part of that is now, John, that I've got all this information. What does it mean for me? It's great that I got it, but what do I do with it? Well, the first thing you want to do is figure out, again, if you're going to take a trip, what do you need to know first? Ooh, I like that. Boy, look at that, boy. All right. Benchmarking gives you your exact location. So it tells you, am I number one, like that little guy up there? Am I the top of my industry? Or am I over here? I'm not even on the board. I'm just looking at the board like this little guy in the industry. You have to know where you are, and you have to be very honest about that. So how do you stack up against the best? Where do you rank? Do you understand where you fit? What's your financial health? Where are you trending? When you look at these things, this is a lengthy report. If you guys ever want to go through one, a real benchmark, I'll take you through it. For the sake of time, I don't want you to go through this because I want to spend some time doing exercises that's going to really help you guys. So first thing you want to do in benchmark rules, please understand that if your industry comes up and somebody's benchmarking you, make sure they're set up the exact way you're set up. So this person is being benchmarked as a business in mental health that has no physicians. So she doesn't have psychiatrists, you don't have anybody doing the medical side. If you're benchmarked against somebody who does, then guess what happens? It's demoralizing. You think you're the worst thing smoking. It's not always true. So make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. Also, again, make sure that if your sales are under $1 million, they're benchmarking you to companies in your industry under $1 million. If you were going to be benchmarked to a $20 million business and you're a $200,000 business, it's just demoralizing. Why beat yourself up? Makes no sense. So make sure the person that benchmarks you actually gives you apples to apples of comparison. Because benchmarks are not an exact science, but they're a good range. They're a good barometer. Again, make sure that it's year-over-year performance. Don't give me a 6-month benchmark. That's not enough. Don't give me a 3-month benchmark. That's not enough. Give me a year-over-year benchmark so I can see my trends in my business.
I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit, when you ask where am I, I'm like in the center of the storm with peace and loss.
Okay.
So what
Yes,
are
ma'am.
the benchmarks? Like, do I need to have them right now? Is it something that I just not understand?
So we're going to get there, and where your storm is, the benchmarks help tell you, okay, I'm in the eye, I'm on the edge, I'm in the middle, I'm going right through it. This is just starting, boy. I got to batten down. So let me explain benchmarks a little bit, and if it doesn't help you, matter of fact, you're going to make me walk back over here again. So let me, no. I'm glad you did this because you showed up, you came. I'm going to give you my best because you came. So here we go. Let's go through this. You're in the middle of the storm. We're not going to take long with this because this is really in-depth. So here we go. Let's look at this benchmark. This is a real company. She's going to be a $5 million company. Please, God, don't pay attention to these numbers. We've already fixed a lot of this in 1 year. So when she first started in 2020, $90,000, trying to get away from this thing, $90,000 in revenue. If you look at where she went, look at the growth between 2020 and 2021. Insane growth. Look at the growth between 2021 and 2022. That's that plateau I told you about. Those are those growth walls. Growth walls show themselves up in your numbers. Your financial performance is just a byproduct of your operational efficiencies. So I can tell right there, she's able on her own to get herself about a $500,000 business. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Knows nothing about business, but she's a monster now. When I first met her, she didn't even know how much it cost her to make that. That's where business owners end up dying. That's where you get in trouble. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you made $1 million, it could cost you $2 million to make it. Okay, all right. You know, play around with that if you want to. You need to know how much it costs you to make your money. So if you look at what was expected based on the growth she started with, she was supposed to be at almost $1 million. That was her projection based on her initial growth. Her company was growing leaps and bounds. The reason she didn't get to that almost $1 million, growth walls. Didn't know what to do, lost it alone, confused in the middle of the storm. So you're not alone, please God. That's one thing I wish I had to realize. As an entrepreneur, it's my responsibility, it's my baby. Nobody else should touch it. I don't want to show it to anybody else so they can call it ugly. And that, again, is the wrong attitude to take. You're not the only one going through what you're going through. Trust me. So where she should have been to where she is, this is year-over-year benchmarking, not against her industry, just her business. She's negative 41% behind the growth that she should have had. This tells us that right up front. Baby, you got plenty of potential to grow. So what is stopping you? What's going on in your operations? Her customers were not paying her on time. Her employees were robbing her blind. She had no visibility into what was going on with her system. So if she invoiced something, she had no idea whether that invoice was paid, whether it was even submitted. Completely lost. We got her a software system that solved all that. And I told her, before you implement a software system, you have to create something called a workflow process. How does this software work? So I don't care. I got this new software system. So sounds smart to somebody stupid, baby. It ain't going to work for you. What do you mean it ain't going to work for me, John? Listen, how is it supposed to work? The software system should work the way your business is supposed to work. So let's map out your business. And Lord knows in 14 weeks she'll be done, but we're giving them everything they need, and they are impressed. They said, you know what? People don't typically even use this software like this, but this is the way they should use it. They're going to use her as a case to actually get other behavioral healthcare businesses on her model. I told them no. We're competitive, so you don't need to do that.
I have a question. I'm just curious.
Sure.
How did she go from making more when she made less than making less when she made more?
Great question. So the number one reason this happens is called growing to death. So if you look at her cost of goods sold, remember I asked you, how much does it cost you to make your money? So look at what the cost of goods sold did over those years. Cost her a lot more money to make $600,000 than it did to make $400,000 because she was growing inefficiently. What doesn't show up here is how much money her employees robbed her for. If I send an employee out to do a one-day job and it takes him 3 days, I've overpaid by 2 days. That's not going to show up here, but it's going to show up right there when you see that negative 41%. So I did the work, but I didn't get the growth. What's going on? So learning how to read these numbers, again, I want to get us through this exercise. I knew this was going to go by faster than I expected, but I want to get us through this exercise. I'm going to show you how to do this real time. And again, if you want this report for your business, reach out to me. Let's sit down, talk about the business. I will prepare this for you. You just got to have your financials. How many people honestly can read the financials in their business? Don't be afraid. Cool. It's about 5, maybe 6. All right, cool. We're gonna help you with that. We're gonna help you with financial management. I didn't want to ask that because that's it. See. I didn't want to embarrass nobody. I'm being nice, Angela. That's the question I normally ask. I'm being nice today. There was a time I was one of them, and I went to school for finance. So corporate finance and entrepreneurial finance, I should smack my teachers. They did not prepare me for this. Anybody want to buy a degree, I'll sell it to you $30,000 a discount right now. That thing was worthless when I started my business. So when you look at, again, her industry averages, let's get to the industry averages. Right there. So if you look at her industry totals, this is benchmarking her against everybody else in her industry at her size. And this gets very extensive, and I can talk you through some points that can kind of help you. I don't want to confuse you. So when you're looking at overhead expenses, as you can see in 2022, 60% is her overhead. The industry average is 44%. So I already know you're paying too much for your advertising, your administrative staff, and it's costing you too much money to make your sales automatically compared to your industry. So that's why benchmarking is powerful. That makes sense? Okay, all right. So again, we're going to go through an exercise. I want us to spend some time playing with it, so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with this. Excuse me. So let's look at just a quick overview of that. These are her scores, where she was. This is what the GPS told us. She ain't got no cash. She ain't profitable. Her sales suck. She's borrowing too much money, and she don't own nothing. So when you look at your balance sheet, the easiest way to kind of think about it, assets, what you own, liabilities, who you owe. Okay? So liquidity. This is what my finance professors failed me. Right here, baby. This is what it is. Nobody explained liquidity. Because in corporate finance, it's assumed that it's there. It's assumed that you already know all this. It's assumed that your business is already at a certain level. In entrepreneurial finance, we need to figure out how to get this. That's not trained. You can't go to school for that. And that's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, 50% die after 5 years, and only a third make it to 10 years, because nobody's teaching people how to look at this. So when you think about a measure of your company's ability to meet the financial obligations when it comes due, that includes your paycheck, the paycheck of your employees, and the payroll taxes that come from you having them. If your business can't pay for its taxes, then you don't have a good business. You have a really good liability. But if you're not profitable before taxes, you're going to have to borrow money to keep your business running. That is what this tells me. The liquidity is first, because if you don't have cash, the rest of this is upside down. So a current ratio is a good barometer. It's not my favorite. We're going to show you a better one at the end of this. Current ratio says if I took my liabilities and if I took my assets and I divided them, do I have enough money to pay everybody if my business died today? Does that make sense? Woo, boy. That's how you end up at $2 million in debt. Right there. The business died today. I mean, they ain't even one. Look at the industry average. Do you see how benchmarking helps you find your true north now? Helps you create realistic goals. Helps you prepare a plan. If you don't know what the industry's doing, you know, sailor with no destination, all winds are favorable, you know, to a man shooting with no target, he hits it with, you know, amazing accuracy. Never mind. All right, I belabor it. So, quick ratio. I don't like this one because this includes accounts receivable, and in my expertise as a small business owner, people don't always pay you. So I don't count on my accounts receivable. I fight for it, but it's a dirty game. So if we added in her accounts receivable, which is supposed to make this number bigger, it's supposed to be a better number. Whew. It's actually a little bit worse. So I know you're not getting your money on time. I know it. I can just look at this and go, girl, you're not getting paid. You've done the work. You've ate the expenses. And when you think about accounts receivable, it's your money in somebody else's pocket. Anybody ever tell you, boy, as long as I owe you, you'll never go broke? That's not true. That's not true. So we're looking at sales volume, right? The sales numbers. And excuse me, it's just a measure of how your sales are growing. This is the trend that kind of tells the real story. If your sales are growing, typically so is your revenue. But to the young lady's question that she just asked earlier, what happens is I didn't plan for the growth. I just did it. And since I didn't plan for it, I may have not had enough money to actually grow. We call that growing to death. Your customer's like, we love you, we want to give you more work, more work, more work. I need more people. I need more money. I need better terms. I definitely need some more equipment. Are you going to supply those things? Well, then let's hold off on that growth right now. And let me pick the best contracts for where I am. And then go find some money to help me grow once I prepare a plan. How many small business owners really do that? Come on, man. Come on, man. They don't tell you that. So this is what happened to her sales compared to where she started. Again, you saw that first year. It was gangbusters. In 1 year's time, that girl almost made $1 million. Excuse me, $500,000. And then those growth walls. So she's behind where she should be. Notepad. Listen to me right now. If you are not profitable before you pay taxes, whew, that's a hurtful feeling. You're going to have to borrow money. It's the only way you can keep the business alive. If you're borrowing money, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's a cost to that. When you pay that cost, deflates your profits. So let's look at the borrowing. Oh, that went up. so you can see the correlation right here. I'm not trying to be funny, but I just know she's out of this situation, so I can laugh about it now. But the borrowing went up because state want their taxes, the Fed want their taxes, employees want paid. Can't get out of that. So profits and profit margin, a measure of whether the trends are profitable and favorable. I think you guys know the answer to that. First year, 90,000. Second year, almost 500,000, 460. Woo! What happened? What happened to your profit margin? Same question you just said. What happened? Because when you're not prepared to grow your company and you take on brand new business that you can't afford, let me say it like this. You can only make the money that you budgeted for in your business. If you break your budget to go after an opportunity, it's costing you more than the opportunity is worth unless you charge the premium. I said before, it's not necessarily about what you offer. You always offer great service. It's about what you negotiate your prices at. Because if I got to grow unexpectedly, I'm going to charge you a premium so I got some cushion. And I'm going to try to get my money in 15 days. Another flip side of this, too, how many people have accounts receivable? You know, the business credit craze is crazy. Them people lying to y'all. Business credit, right? I talk about that a lot. That's probably the first thing you heard me talk about. The reason I talk about business credit a lot is because your job as a business owner is to get paid in 15 days and pay everybody else in 60. Imagine living in your house, 12 months, you only pay rent 6 times a year. How much more money could you have? It's the same way in your business. I want my money every 15 days. I don't want to pay you for every 60. That means I get paid 3 times before I got to pay you. That make sense? That's like giving yourself a free loan. That's where the liquidity issues start to shrink, when you can get your payables on 16 days. Now, again, in real time, what she's been doing compared to the industry's 16% profit margins, flat. She's well below that, but not for long, not for long. Hopefully, if I do this again, she'll let me show you her new numbers, and they'll be really good. Gross profit margin. So when you're looking at your income statement, for all those who read income statements, for all those who read financials, what's the most important number on your income statement? Okay, that's what it is, but what's the most important category on your profit and loss? Okay, that's the answer? No. Most important number, gross profit. Because that's what you truly have to pay for the rest of the business after you made your sales. So you have sales of $1 million, cost of goods sold of $500,000. How much do you have as gross profit? $500,000. Is this $500,000 enough to run the rest of your business and pay taxes? If it isn't, we got to fix something right up front. So if that number is $500,000 on gross profit, and that SG&A number is $650 before taxes, woo, we're in trouble. So monitoring your gross profit number is the most important number on your financial statement. It will make you cry once you realize that. You'll realize why the net number is negative. It's a very telling number. Her advertising and sales. You ever hired an advertiser and you expect them to do all these great things and they sold you on this and you don't really know? Look how far she is above industry average in her advertising costs. But look what happened to her sales. So what should she do with that guy? With extreme prejudice. Now, G&A to payroll. I am extremely critical on this because your employees will rob you if you don't give them targets. They're not robbing you because they're bad people. They're robbing you because you didn't tell them what to do to make you money. Every employee that you take on should be worth 3 to 4 times what you pay them. You need to write that down. If they're not, you need to fire them. So G&A is really SG&A. So that's general and administrative. So after that gross profit number, you got rent, insurance, administrative payroll, the people who don't actually go out in the field and do the work. You should have your payroll somewhere in there. You should have every other expense associated with you running the business. Software, phone systems, telephone, all that gets grouped into the SG&A. What it takes for you to run the business after you brought in the revenue. If you don't have really good control over your SG&A, you're in a lot of trouble. And as you can see, with her SG&A, she's overpaid industry average consistently. Of course, you know, COVID 2021, her business was based on seeing people, so, you know, that's a misnomer number. On average, when she has full years to run, look how far she is above industry average. She's paying too much for her sales, her SG&A, her sales, general, and administrative. Now, right about here is when people go stick their head in the sand. This is the number one strategic method of entrepreneurs. I call it the ostrich technique. You're overwhelmed, you don't know where you are. I've just introduced way too many new topics and you need a break. So does everybody need a break right now just to kind of? Okay, all right, we'll take a little break right here just to kind of, I see everybody kind of getting deflected. I'm talking through them numbers, I see the shoulders getting lower and lower, so I was like, let me go ahead and, you know, give you some time to do the ostrich method. Stick that head in the sand a little bit, it's safe down there, ain't nobody gonna bother you, nobody can see you, and, you know, be the sand, you know, blend in. So is there anything that you guys kind of want to make sure that I cover, touch on as we go through the rest of this? Because now that I've kind of belabored my points, I want to give you 6 things to turn this into action steps. 6 things you can use to run your business better.
I wanted to touch on some more of what she was saying.
Yes, ma'am. About financials in general, or she said a couple things. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, thank you for that, because that's exactly what I was about to say. Boy, listen to me. That's a whole 6-week session to go through those financials. Typically, what you want your accountant to produce for you, and they're not going to do it unless you tell them, because most accountants are tax compliance. They're trying to keep you out of the hands of the IRS. They're not really trying to help you manage your business effectively. 3 statements. You want all 3. People always come with 2. Income statement, balance sheet. I call the most important one the forgotten income statement. Statement of cash flows. If you have an income statement, a balance sheet, and a statement of cash flows, and we spend some time together, I can show you whether or not you're running a good business. I don't care what your numbers tell you. Because those numbers are end of the year numbers. That's already happened. You can have $10 million on that top line and have $15 million in AR. So that means you could have $10 million in sales and people owe you $15 million. Never mind. You know what I mean? Those financial statements sound smart to somebody stupid. So if you don't really know how to read them, please don't feel bad about that. It took me years to learn how to read financial statements accurately. And when it comes to small businesses, it took me a lot longer to learn how to read the truth behind them. Because that employee efficiency is not built in your financial statements. There's no employee efficiency ratio in your financial statements. You won't see if your employees are worth 2 dead flies smashed. It's not going to show up. You just know you're losing money and you don't know why. That's usually when you have to go behind the numbers and start dissecting your operations. The cash flow statement is the one people don't have, but it's the one you need the most. So the cash flow statement is set up, and I'm going to do this real quick because this is a very long conversation. Operating, financing, investing, or investing and financing can be swapped around, but it usually starts with operating. So it's going to tell you how much cash is generated just from the pure D operations of your business. If that number is negative, I know your financing number, you probably borrowed money. I'm probably going to see something on the financing. When it comes to investing, if you're growing your business, the investing number typically is the highest one. That's where all your cash went. You needed new trucks, you needed new people, they're not paying themselves the first year, you're getting depreciation, all that good stuff, but guess what? Cash is still gone. When you grow your business, it's an investment. You're not going to get an immediate return on cash the moment you start growing. That cash flow statement tells you where the cash went. When you don't do it and you're trying to figure out why your bank account don't match what you, man, listen to me. I'm going to tell y'all an embarrassing story, but don't y'all repeat this. I went to Wells Fargo one time, right? Not knowing what an income statement really meant. And I went in there and cussed them people out because I told them they stole my money. Because when I looked at my monthly income statement, I had $20,000. And I knew that just went to my bank account because I knew I had been paid. But the truth is my customer didn't pay me. Holding back tears now. That was an emotional moment, boy. I was in there wheezing and screaming, boy. I was in there hot, boy. And guess what? Learned a valuable lesson about income statements. So just understand, if you guys want to go through income statements, well, I've mastered that. I'm good at that now. So if you want to come through and just sit down, we'll show you whether or not your employees are worth 2 dads, and we'll definitely sit down and make sure that you guys understand whether or not your operations, the core operations of your business, generate you enough cash to sustain yourself. How many people are paying themselves in their business? Good, 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 good. For the rest of you, if you do not have a consistent monthly salary built into your business, you're lying to yourself about how much your business actually needs to survive. We're going to do an exercise on that very shortly. So let me get through the rest of it. Oh, excuse me, everybody good? Nobody had anything else they want to go through? Okay, all right. We're going to get to that exercise to pay yourselves. Purpose-led growth strategies. Most people grow to death. Most people grow, they call me and say, John, I want to grow my business. Okay, great. You got more customers? No. Okay, all right. You got a bank line of credit or something? No. Okay. You hired a new sales team? No. Okay. Why do you want to grow your business? I just feel like it's time to grow my business. Okay. All right. And I have to give them the sober truth. So you will find a lot of people in the marketplace be like, that man don't know nothing. He told me my business can't grow. If you don't have a scalable business, then your business can't grow. There's very, very, very tough conversations that you have to have with people when they have like a bus line business. A bus line business can scale just as far as the buses can drive, but you making profit. Outside of that, and in South Carolina, ain't too many people taking bus trips right now. You know what I mean? So let's be realistic. Choosing the right growth strategy, expanding into a different product line, entering into new markets, mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisitions is the new fastest way to grow your business because it's something called the silver wave. Just a quick tidbit. Most of the profitable multi-million-dollar businesses, small businesses in America, are owned by baby boomers. They don't want it. The kids don't want it. They don't know what to do with it. A lot of times versus starting your business or trying to expand your business, you need to go out and meet one of these baby boomers because they'll gladly take somebody who really cares and really wants to grow this thing. So just look at that as an option for yourself. When you have a team and you're sitting down with your team, if you don't have a yeah but guy in the room, if you don't have, yeah, we're going to make $5 million and we're going to, and somebody in the room goes, yeah, but we don't have enough employees, and last time you was about 6 days late with my paycheck. Are you sure? If you don't have a yeah but guy in the room, this exercise is not going to be done properly. You need to foster an environment inside of your corporate culture that allows people to challenge you. If you want to get better, you need to assess the potential risks. Because every time you step out of the door, it's a risk. You can get in a car accident, you can catch COVID, plane can fall on your house, a boy can shoot down a drone from China. I mean, it's just more and more risk going on in the marketplace. So when you think about it, you need to know what those risks are before you jump out there. And if we went back to that industry report, it actually has the risks for your industry. So it's not guesswork that you have to do. But when it comes to your particular business, if you know you're a hothead, a risk could be the owner. And you should be able to tell them, hey, look, you're a hothead. You get in rooms, people don't say what you like, and you explode. That's a risk to our company. No, nobody's going to say that, but, they'll think it. Create an action plan, implement chosen growth step. So what smart people do, they start businesses, they do pretty well, and then they get analysis paralysis. They get stuck in number 2. They never actually implement it. They just go, oh, well, what happens if I do this? And will I get insurance coverage for this? And that's a risky kind of industry. Would I be able to be financed? And yada, 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 yada. Do it. Small business ownership at some point is really just taking the risk to jump off the ledge. You build a plane on the way down. Sometimes that's just what it all boils down to. Sometimes that's just what it all boils down to. So I want to start with financing growth. I usually start with customers, but I want to start with financing so we can breeze through this and do our exercise. So create that financial plan to support your growth. Don't just grow your business. Don't just do it. If your customers are giving you more, invite them in. Sit them down, especially if they're in your industry. Hey, man, what are the guys bigger than me doing? What systems are they using? What type of procurement studies do they have? What type of strategies are they implementing? You know what I mean? I want to get better. You're my customer. I want to be best in class. Don't just let them give you work and you do it. Because here's the cool thing about procurement officers. There's some, I ain't going to say nothing because there might be some in this room, but procurement officers already know what the budget is. And they know whether you're cheap or not. And if you agree to do it for cheaper than the rest of the market, it makes the procurement officer look good. They're not there just to give you work. They're there to control and manage a budget. I want to get as close to breaking that budget every time I get a contract as I can. Budgeting, oh my God. Financial discipline is very different in small businesses ownership than it is for your personal finances. It is. There's a lot of financial discipline. When people, I underwrote a guy once. This boy was the only guy in the state of Georgia, a brother, certified, that could actually build traffic signals from the ground up. He had the monopoly. He was killing them, turning down work, $2-3 million contracts a week, backload of work. Went through his business, went through his financials, and what the hell is this line item here for $23,000 a month? It's not a business. What is that? One of the employees told me, well, he got a second family, and you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm lying, I'm flying. They got an apartment downtown, and then I think he had a side piece that was somewhere mixed in there, and then the wife wanted to go to Hawaii, and all that the business was paying for. Needless to say, he didn't get my money. So don't ever set yourself up where you can't make a consistent paycheck from the business because you'll rob the business to cover your household expenses, especially if you got family and kids. You will rob your own business. I wish the business could talk to some of y'all and just be like, you robbed me, I'm suing you. It's my name on the bank account, I dare you. You're robbing your biggest business partner because you're not paying yourself consistently. So, again, evaluating different financing options. Once I have a financial plan, I know how much money I need and how much budget I need to actually grow the business and take on these new contracts. So let's say I'm in a business right now and I know that it's very cash intensive up front. It's going to take a lot of money to get this thing up, but my upside is insane. I can make 60% margins. I may want to find a private investor because I don't want to lose my cash flow paying a big loan. So it may make more sense since I know right up front I'm going to need a lot of money. Let me go find somebody who's a private equity firm, angel investor, and just give up some equity. It may make more sense to do that. If you know that all you need is a pickup truck, go get a bank loan. Find a loan for somebody. All I need is this pickup truck, and I can almost 10x my business. I can double it. I just need another truck. Well, then that probably makes sense to go get a loan. If you don't evaluate these first two, you don't know what type of capital you need. People assume that a loan is the best possible capital you can get just because it's cheap. It's not always true. Sometimes you really don't want that monthly payment draining your cash every month, especially when you're trying to grow. Sometimes it's better just to give up equity, get somebody else's expertise, and allow them to put that capital injection in your business that you don't have to pay them back monthly for. Make sure you have a buyout clause, though, because you don't want all partners in your business. Sometimes you want to fire them, too. So after you get your money and your budget straight, let's look at your management team. So developing a company culture is very, very important. We talked about walking into a company culture where you don't know what you're doing, nobody set any clear expectations, and you're just sitting there riding the clock. Everybody in the break room coming off the smoke break like, boy, boy, you love this job, don't you? This thing here easy, and boy, look at here, boy, I love this job, boy, boy, look here. I ain't never leaving this job. Riding that clock, buddy. So you want to make sure that the company promotes growth and innovation so that when you hire top-tier talent, they feel invested. They want to stay. Their ideas are being heard. They feel like they're leaders in your organization. That way, Nick Saban says, excellent people can't stand to be in the same room with average people. Average people can't stand to be in the same room with losers. So if you have a team full of excellent people, they'll weed out the rest of them on their own. Recruiting and retaining top talent is very difficult if your business is a sinking ship. It just is what it is. When people don't see you growing, they don't get excited, they don't feel invested, and they're also worried about their paycheck. So you growing, make sure that you get best in class, because your growing attracts top-tier talent. Diesel Laptops is getting students from Duke. Man, it's crazy. I love to see that guy grow. I love to see a hometown boy win. I just love it. Same thing with Jordan Construction. I can rattle off names left and right. But to see homegrown South Carolina businesses win, it's a passion of mine. So make sure that you are retaining and searching for top-tier talent. Find out what they want. Find out what their needs are. If you can't get them right now, make a plan to come back in a year or two and hire them. Providing training and development opportunities. Age-old saying from the CFO to the CEO. CFO walks in the room. Hey, CEO, we spend a lot of money in training our employees. What happens if they leave? The CEO answers back, what happens if we don't invest in our employees and they stay? So this is a big important one, especially in the new era. What happens is you got a top performer, maybe two in your organization, and you're burning their butts out because they can do everything you need them to do, and you're burning them out. You're overworking them. Make sure you identify areas of the business that can benefit for automation. Take some of the workload off your top performers. Don't burn them out. Make sure you always stay abreast of the new technologies, the new systems that are governing your industry. Those technologies are in place for a reason, because your competition are using them, your customers are probably using them, everybody in your market is probably using them. If you don't have technology integrated into your business, you don't know what's going on with your business, at least not real time. You're waiting on the financial statements at the end of the month, end of the year to tell you what's going on. Sometimes you need week-to-week decisions. If you're in the healthcare field, I recommend Athena before anything else. Athena is the best healthcare management system I've ever seen in my life because it runs your business, runs your EMR, and does your billing all in one fail software. So it gives you all the reports from all of those particular areas at the same time. I wish every business had an Athena. Lord knows, boy, it'd be much easier to run a company. Athena, A-T-H-E-N-A. Yep. A-T-H-E-N-A, Athena. Implementing automation and business processes. So remember, if I give you a strategy, the strategy works, what must you do as the company owner? That's 100% right. And then after you do it, it becomes a process so everybody can do it. Your processes must be built into your business the way your business is supposed to run. So if I have a business where my clients have to see 6 people a day in order for me to say that they're worth their payroll, that's a process. Sorry you had to go to the hospital. Sorry you had to visit the doctor. You only got 5 today. Tuesday you're going to have to get 7, baby. You have to make that up. That's a process. Everybody knows it. If you're turning in an invoice, all your notes and your invoices need to be done by the end of the week, 12 o'clock. That's a process. When you come in my organization, you know that's your expectation. If you're in my organization, that's the expectation. If you want to keep your job. Not everybody wants to keep their job. Let these people go. Let them go. Let them be free. Be free. Get on out of here. Yeah. There's another job you can work. It ain't mine. But if I don't have processes in place, it's my fault I'm getting robbed. Marketing is one of the things that I need to do better. My brother, my wife, my mother, everybody tells me, you need to market more, boy. So developing a strong brand, I'm in the process of this. I've been doing this for the last year. And I got company trademark. I want to build a brand for this type of work. I help you grow your business. I help you scale. I've seen other people who say they do this. They not nice like that. You know what I mean? They just not. So I feel like I can do it better. And every time I don't go into the marketplace and advertise my skill set, I'm allowing you to pay a charlatan to do what they say they can do. So that's my fault. If you look at using social media, if you don't have digital trust, is what they call it. I'm learning this too, so you know, I'm not being an expert on marketing now. This is definitely my weak link, but I'm learning. Digital trust is extremely impactful. You have people who have such a cult. Donald Trump has so much digital trust that he has a cult following. They gave this boy his own social media service. He has a social media service. Think about that. People love to hear his voice so much that they created an app just so he can talk on it. So just understand that your potential customers and your customers need to be able, these in different companies, they consistently get better. The only difference between great companies and really, really, really industry-leading, top-tier marquee companies is the fact that they were doing it for so long. A great company getting better every year for 10 years is the best in the industry, bar none. There's no way. There's no way people can compete because they're not going to do this exercise. They're not going to make the transition between entrepreneur to professional manager. Growth plan, clear expectations and goals, execute steps for implementing that growth plan, track KPIs, monitor and review, and then make adjustments to your business. Those are the steps for really, really being serious and intentional about growth and positive growth because you can grow to death in business. I showed you multiple examples of somebody growing to death. So, this is the tool that we're going to use, but before we use this tool, since I'm running low on time here, I want to get some feedback. Can't practice it if you don't preach it. Can't preach it if you don't practice it, right? So let's look at this. You can do this QR code. You can click on this link, and please just tell me whether or not I added any value. Is there something I should have touched on? Is something that was just too confusing? Let me know whether or not I did a good job. I would really appreciate that. You can use the code or you can use the QR. It takes a while for the QR to come up, but it'll come up. So. And it should be just a big comment section all grouped together, and you can just leave the comments. If you don't have time to do it now, you can just take a picture and do it later if you, yes ma'am.
What's the actual code to enter code?
Yeah, we did the QR and it's asking for a code.
If you give your email, it'll come up.
Okay, thank you. I was going to say, I didn't know it was a code. That's the first time I ever did that one. I was about to say, ooh. All right, just tell me out loud, you know. So everybody good on this? Okay. Okay, appreciate it. Now we're going to go through an exercise that I think is going to be the most helpful exercise of this whole presentation, and we're going to do it together. So if you guys bear with me just a little bit more time, and then we'll get you on our way. Is that cool? I know I talked a long time. I know it's been a long presentation. So.
Can we like, can we find you, because I have to go prepare lunch.
Sure. Sure. So this is how you find me. This is my contact information. No, we're not going. We're going to make sure you get on the road. Here's my card. But this is my contact information. So you guys can take a picture of that. That's how you catch me. That phone number, because of the system that we have, and after the hack of South Carolina State, the phones don't really work like they should. So email me is the best. You can call me, and I may be able to get it, but usually if you call me, it goes to the budget office for some reason. So just email me. Okay? Everybody got it? I'll pass out cards as well, so feel like you're going to miss me. I'm not in a hurry. This is the thing I definitely want to do with the group, and we're just going to play with this. This is going to be fictional. How? You good? All right. Excuse me. Oh. Okay. So, cash flow tracking tool. I want to make sure we go through this tool together as a group because this is the tool that tells the story of your business. I'm sorry it's so small, so I'm going to enlarge it a little bit here. This tells the story of what's happening inside of your business, the cash position. This is what most people want to know. Where did my cash go? Yeah, I'm scrolling back up now, so. Okay. Got it. So, we're going to create a mock company expense, and we're going to go through it together as a team to show you why most small business owners don't actually get paid. So, let's look at that first one there. We can put in fictitious numbers here, or we can use the ones here, whatever makes it easier for you guys. So, equipment-wise, what should you say that equipment number should be? Every single month, this is what I got to pay for equipment for my business to run. 13,000. Boom. All right. So we got 13,000 here. We're going to see if this works. All right. Bam. 13,000. That's what you got to pay every month. Gross wages. All right. Whose personal salary is not in this? Because if your personal salary is not in this, then it's going to affect how much you actually need to make to pay yourself. So let's just do employees and then add your salary. Somebody throw out a number.
1650 hours.
You need more than that to live in America. So and pay taxes. So let's be real. A monthly number. What do you need a month? Somebody throw it out. 30,000. So that's businesses and your employees. So that's your salary too now. It's mixing that. So 30,000. That's your business expenses for payroll and your actual monthly check. Okay. All right. So and again, that's why this is a mock one. Just throw out a number. It doesn't matter. It's going to lead to the same exact results. I promise you it is. So bam. All right. So let's leave everything the same. Let's just play with those two. So let's assume you don't have any rent. Actually, you know what? Let's put rent in there because most people do. There you go. There you go. All right, 2,500. And let's just keep everything the same for now because the numbers get too big, you won't understand them. So remember when I told you how much does it cost you to make your money? Be clear on that? So every month, not in sales, you might have made $50,000 in sales. If it didn't hit your bank account, you don't have $50,000. Guess how much it's costing you to run this business every month? How did that feel to know? That's why most people don't do it. And that's why most people take their salary out of this number because they want it to be small and manageable so you can feel better about it. But you've just lied to yourself about how much you should cost, how much you should price for, and how much a contract should be in order for you to be profitable. That's why you can't pay yourself. Because you never set your business up to pay yourself. You lied to yourself about how much it costs to do business. So let's look at the number at the end of the year. Because I've done a break-even analysis for you guys. So there you go. That's your break-even. You have to make $811,000 a year just to break even. Not taxes, not payroll taxes.
That's with me paying myself.
Correct. That's just with cash. If these were your numbers. And if, again, call me, sit down. We'll put in your real numbers. This ain't going to change. You're not going to like the number. Because most of you lied to yourselves about paying yourself. You really need $5,000 a month to live, and you didn't put it in here. So you're taking business that's not paying for you. It's not even profitable. And you're supposed to add, truthfully, a 20% markup on that number so you can pay taxes.
A 20% markup on the 800?
Yes, ma'am. Because this is just your cash position. This is what your business needs to run without you sweating, crying, and borrowing money. This is your liquidity.
But when you do stuff like that, right? Don't you get all the stuff like say like you
Mm-hmm.
your equipment, your personnel, the insurance. Then you look at all these numbers. This is what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
Say if I was paying, say if I had to get insurance for my people, it cost me 6,000 a month, but I will always go a 3 or 6% markup on the 6,000 just because I need a cushion just in case something else falls. Like
Correct.
my phone.
Yes.
Like if I got people out in the field, I might charge you $2 a day for a phone. I might say paper, water, cups,
Mhm.
napkins. I charge for others. So you add this stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, at the end of the total, I'll do a 9%, maybe sometimes 12% markup.
Okay.
And that kind of keep me kind of floating. You know?
So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some of the things I would like to see you change and do a little bit cleaner. Because what typically happens is, and this is why I don't want to confuse this too, this is cash. This is liquidity. This is the #1 small business problem. This is what leads you to the payday lenders. This is what makes you go get a terrible loan. This is what makes you come borrow money from your family. Because your business doesn't support you and your household. You can't pay for the business, and you can't pay for it yourself. This is a liquidity exercise. So let's do it like this. Let's say, oh, excuse me, ma'am, I know you had a question too. I'm going to send that out to everybody. I'm being nice because this is something I created. So I'm sharing my intellectual property with you guys. So it's the reward for coming. Anybody who didn't come doesn't get it. So, all right. So let's look at this, because this is what typically happens in the small business world. I made $70,000 as soon as I hit January, baby. The cash hit the bank account. I'm feeling good. I got another $30,000 that people owe me, but guess what I didn't do? I didn't collect it. So what happens March? I'm $65,000 in the hole, and I don't know why. Why I ain't got no money? What happened? Then the $30,000 creeps in, and you still owe money the next month. What happens is the cost to run your business in cash balloons when you don't collect your money. And this is cash. This ain't accounts receivable. This is what hits the bank account when people pay you. Nobody's going to pay you consistently, but if you don't know how much money a month it takes for you to get paid and pay for your business, you can't ask for the right amounts when you charge your customers. That make sense? Your sales numbers are automatically a lie. This is what kills small businesses. This is why you don't enjoy the businesses. This is why you hate doing it every day, because you're not getting paid what you should be, and you don't know why. So let's go back to this. So let's go ahead and be generous. Let's say you got some good financial management. You found a steady 4-year contract, and you're going to run this contract for 4 years. Oh, excuse me. Bam. Well, that steady contract brought in $960. It cost you $811 to make $960. This is just cash. Again, this ain't taxes. This ain't outside expenses. This is the cash you needed to run your business. Guess what? That's a 15% profit margin. Just in terms of cash at the end of the year, guess what you actually got? You got $148,000 in cash in the bank account at the end of the year, just for having a steady contract that was realistic for how much it cost you to run your business. It's cost you $65,000 to run your business a month, but you're making $80,000. That's the definition of a good business. You can turn this into a great business. You can scale this. You can't scale this. Let's be cute, because this is what happens. I made $80,000 in sales. I didn't collect it. Woo! There you go. Automatically. Sales don't equal cash. So I want to give you a tool that you can put these numbers in and really tell yourself the truth about how much cash you need, so your business can make you go, all right, I didn't make a big profit, but I don't owe anybody no money. I got my check, they got their check, and we good. And then you can actually see what's going to happen next month before it happens. Because if you're honest with yourself about your expenses and you track what's going into your bank account using this sheet, you're going to know the oops moment before it happens. Make sense to everybody? So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have accounts receivable and then you're going to have liable deductions inside of your business. And if you have an accountant worth half their salt, they're going to be able to estimate what your projected taxes should be. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, it's coming out of that beautiful $68,000 in cash.
And then what about like, why did you figure out something like escort?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it being, I'm paying myself,
Mm-hmm.
I just shifted, so I'm kind of learning how that works compared to.
Yes, ma'am. So even when you're doing the escort, it's going to work the exact same way because, again, this is all cash. We're taking all of the financial statements out of this.
Okay.
This is raw cash.
Okay.
At the end of the year, your income statement is going to tell you what your allowable taxable amount should have been. And then you're going to look at that income statement and say, I owe $25,000 in payroll taxes, I owe $18,000 in taxes. It's coming out of the $68,000 I got in cash. So guess what? My business paid me and paid my taxes all year long. I don't need to take an owner's draw. I don't need to rob my business. It's paid for itself. That's why tracking the cash, this is entrepreneurial finance. This ain't corporate finance. Corporate finance don't teach you this. Totally different. So again, I just want to let you know the powers of collecting your money because guess what? Just to reiterate, just because you didn't collect your money 1 month, look what it did to your cash position. You're going to borrow money for the next 3 months. Excuse me, that's 5 months. 1 month of not collecting cash. So now you're going to call your customers and figure out where your money is? Some of y'all need to leave here right now and call your customers and figure out where your money is. Just here's what it is. Yeah, so, but again, I'm going to go back here and just leave my information up. And then if you guys have any questions before we wrap up, and I'll make sure you guys get a copy of this. No problem. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Anything you guys need or a quick question before I get out of here?
You may talk in numbers. I got one. You said SG&A. What was that again? What was it?
So sales, general, and administrative expenses. After your gross profit number, it's what you need to run the rest of the business, your SG&A. That's your admin staff, anything you spent in marketing, rent, insurance, that's the combination of those expenses. So, yeah, I'll hand out my cards and I'll be here for a little while we let out. So thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate, sitting down and listening. 2 hours is a long time, so I appreciate you guys staying. Thank you.